In this segment, I'm going to be speaking about working with numbers. Now, I don't know why, but when it comes to numbers, people have a hard time with it because it's almost like when you tell Christians or believers to work with numbers, they feel that it's almost an affront or an attack to their faith. Because what I hear most of the time is, don't look at the numbers. It's what God said that counts. And then we start giving us all kinds of stories like, hey, Gideon, he only had 300 guys, and the 300 overcame 1,000,000. So, God can really do something with very little numbers. So, because we hear all these preachings all year long about how God uses nothing, he only had 5 loaves, and with 5 loaves, he fed 5,000 people, and with 2 fish, he fed 5,000 people. All these stories in the Bible that are all faith stories, because we have all this, we have a tendency as believers to say, hey, you know what? Numbers are not important. They're not important at all. What you need, all you need is faith in what God says. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to trash talk faith because faith has and is accomplishing incredible things on the earth. But at the same time, I cannot neglect the importance of working with numbers, even as a believer. And if there's an area where I have found many Christians to be failing in and people to be failing in, is their inability to know their numbers. So, a lot of times you're going to speak to somebody and you're going to be like, at the end of the month, are you making a profit? I don't know. Are you doing better this year than you were last year? I don't know. How many bills do you have? I don't know. How many clients do you have now? And how many clients do you want to have tomorrow? I don't know. And this I don't know, you only get that with Christians. If you speak to people in business or in finance, they'll tell you right away, yes, I'm making this much. This is what I'm projecting to make in the future. This is how many clients I have. This is how many clients I'm going to have tomorrow. And what's sad is that these guys who are complete number people, oftentimes they're doing much better than us. Much better than us. And so in reality, I come to see that the religious mentality has brought us to a place where we don't even want to look at numbers. And this is wrong. I'm not saying that faith will always supersede all things, because God can put something in your spirit and you can have faith for it, and it doesn't matter what the numbers are. But faith is not being used all the time. Miracles are not happening every single day. There is a certain level of wisdom and logic in working with numbers. Listen, you need to have statistics and numbers in order to evaluate things. You need to be able to look at things. For example, in a ministry, if there's no young people, but we never look at the number of young people and we don't notice that, hey, we only have 5 teenagers in the ministry. Well, we're never going to look at that and say, hey, we should make a plan in order to increase this number. Projections are based on numbers. If you have a business, you're going to make a projection and you're going to want to be able to evaluate your results. You have to be able to look at things. How much money you're making today, what you're going to make tomorrow. Priorities are often created by looking at your numbers. Numbers allow us to create attainable objectives. Numbers allow us to attain attainable objectives. It's like somebody says, hey, God's going to bless me. How? In what way? How much will you have? Even Jesus, when he did miracles, for example, when he fed the 5,000, he told the people, put them in groups of 50. He put order, he put certain numbers in place so that when the miracle would happen, there would at least be an order in the distribution of how things were being done. Let me tell you a little story. There was a time where I had a lot of debts. And so, when you have a lot of debts to pay, we have a tendency to be like the ostrich, where we want to just hide our head in the ground and we don't want to deal with what we have. So I was praying. I was like, God, I know you're going to do it. I know you're going to pay my bills. I know, God, that you're going to you're going to bless me and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. So I was on this faith rampage. And what was happening was that I was getting mail. Now, the mail I was getting, obviously, every single one of those envelopes was telling me, you owe us money. So whether it was the electricity bill, the phone bill, the cellular bill, the city bill, the I don't know what bill. Every letter that was coming was a bill with telling me you owe us something. Now what happened is that because I says, no, I'm going to stand in faith. And so by saying that I was standing in faith, what I decided to do, which was unintelligent, pretty stupid, is that I says, I refuse to look at the numbers. So all those envelopes, I would hide them. I refuse to open the bill because I says, I'm not going to open that letter. I know what it's going to say. It's going to say that I owe the money and I don't have money to pay. So what I was doing is that I was putting all these envelopes aside and I didn't want to look at how much I owed. And I was praying that God was going to do this big miracle. And one day I felt the Lord speak to me and he said, open all your letters, take a pen and a pad and write down all the money you owe. So I went and grabbed this bunch of envelopes. This was a really tough time in my life. I mean, we were broke. And here I am, and I had to start opening these envelopes one by one, and I had to write this amount, 500 year, next, 1,000 year, unpaid ticket, $500 year. They want to cut my electricity, 800 year. I had to start opening up all of these envelopes. And by the time I was done, I calculated the amount was over $20,000 that I had in debts. So this was the first time that I took the time to look at my numbers. Now, once I had my numbers, you know what God told me? He says, am I bigger than that $20,000? And I said, yes. And this is when I started to have true faith. Because now I looked at the numbers, I knew what they were, I knew what I was up against, and I believed that I could take care of this, that this was nothing for God. And it seemed like I only started to get a breakthrough when I consciously took the time to see the state that I was in. And a lot of times, this is what I see. This is what the religious mentality does, is it makes people put their head in the sand. They don't have no idea what they have to pay. They have no idea what they're dealing with. They don't even want to look at it. And at the same time as they're not looking at it, they say they have faith. But what they really have is fear. And in their fear, they're praying for a miracle to come out of their problem. But I believe that the responsible thing for us to do as believers is to be completely aware of all our numbers. Know where we want to go. Know how much do you want to make. Where do you want to reach? Where do you want your ministry to take you? What? Put a number to things. Put a number to things. Work with numbers. Let your faith express itself in your numbers. Now listen, there was a part in the Bible where David did the numbering. King David did a numbering of the people. And when he numbered the people, I believe this is in First Chronicles. When he numbered the people, it was considered a sin, and God punished him for it. But this was because David was looking at the numbers in unbelief. In other words, he was full of doubt. There is a reason why there's a book in the Bible called Numbers. It's there, the first 12 chapters of that book is all about the amount of people that there was. It was all about creating order. The book Numbers in the Bible is basically the numbering of all the people that came out of Egypt with Moses. God wanted to make sure that his people were a people of order. And in order to have them be a people of order, he commanded that there would be a numbering of the people. So we knew how many thousands of people were in the tribe of Dan, how many were in the tribe of Reuben, how many were in the tribe of Simeon. All the numbers were there. The families were there. You know, I find this is such a strength among the Jewish people. It's one of the reasons why I believe they're so successful in business, because apart from their faith, they're very clear on the numbers that they have. And they work with that. You know, even when it comes to prophetic words, we should look at prophetic words also sometimes with numbers. For example, the Bible tells us in 1 Thessalonians 5:19-21, it says, do not quench the spirit. Do not despise prophecies. So we got those two verses, they're clear. The Bible says, never quench the spirit. Don't despise prophecies. In other words, prophecies are good. We need God to talk. What does it say in verse 21? Test all things, referring to prophecies. Hold fast what is good. Hold fast. There was a brother one time who came and see me, and he told me that God spoke to him that he was going to have a career as a soccer player. And because he was going to have a career as a soccer player, he didn't need to work. He didn't need to do nothing because God was going to bless him. I told him, how many years has it been that God told you were going to be a soccer player? It had been more than 2 years. How much money did you make with soccer? Zero. Nothing. How many soccer clubs have called you to ask you to be on their team? Zero. How much money are you being offered to play soccer? Zero. Maybe, just maybe, the numbers are not confirming that prophecy. Maybe in that case, when the Bible says, test all things, hold fast to what is good, there are certain things that are spoken to us. At one point, they should be confirmed with certain numbers. As believers, we must have a business mindset and learn to work with numbers. In the next segment, I'm going to speak to you about having the mentality of a conqueror. Bless you.